Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got.
What show is that?
Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I miss those days. The
I know,
Cheers
right?
episodes. They were so good.
They were. The Love Boat, LA Law.
But how about Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows? Well done. We always used to clap at the end of the show.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Oh my God, they were so good. Such good writers. Anyway, how are you? What is this? What are we about to do?
Welcome to Plate and Ponder. I'm your host, Jen Fenton, and I'm here with my husband, Chris Fenton, who just ate a lot of chips and just drank some wine. And I'm very sensitive to like the noise. Oh, stop it. It like freaks me out. I don't know what it is. And
Welcome to empty nesting, when you can annoy your wife by doing just everyday, normal human functions.
it reminds me, you had a relative that came and stayed with us. And this said relative was eating a banana with peanut butter, which created the most atrocious noise. And I could hear it in every room of the house. It was so loud. You know who I'm talking about.
Uncle Cracker? No. I don't know who you're talking about, but I don't need to know. I just know that you do get annoyed.
I do.
At sometimes the most normal of things.
Well, I mean, I also like my sheets really taut. I like my bed made a certain way.
Oh my
I definitely
gosh.
have specific habits and tendencies.
As we've talked about before, I can make a good bed. Anyway.
You can. Shiny spoon.
Yes, shiny spoon. So, what are we going to talk about today? We can banter a little bit because it has been a very busy week for both of us. Apologies to our avid listeners for not having a show for, I think, 72 hours.
Yeah, it's also the holidays, which means there's a lot of obligations and parties. And that kind of brings me to my first topic that I want to talk about.
Well, talk about what are the serious topics, and I want to banter just a tad more.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about potlucks.
Potluck, God. I do not like potlucks.
I don't either. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then I think the other thing that we should really talk about, and you sort of started the show with it, kind of these classic television shows that we all watched versus these streaming platforms, and how you can't really measure not membership, but viewership. And I think we can talk maybe about the formatting of that. And remember Sundays when everybody would get around the TV and sit on the couch and watch Sex and the City together, or whatever the show was. It sounds like
I don't think we were all watching Sex and the City together.
I did, and it sounds like you were watching Cheers.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Who called Bon Jovi?
Oh, sorry. I guess that's my Joe Cocker. Get by with a little help from my friends.
That was Wonder Years.
Yes.
Oh, good show. Remember we tried to get the kids to watch Wonder Years?
Yeah, for some reason it was just a little slow for them.
They had zero interest. They liked Doogie Howser. They liked Brady Bunch. But Wonder Years was just never a format they could understand.
Well, if we're talking about television, I will say that today I was over at the Creative Artist Agency, but I had clients in from
CAA, for people who might know the shorthand.
Yes, and I had clients in from Japan, and they were staying across the street in that hotel. And I will say that I was really happy that even though they redeveloped the hotel, the what is that called, the Fairmont Century Plaza, they put back in the tunnel that went from the hotel over to CAA, which, by the way, CAA is in the old ABC Cap Cities complex that was there. And there was an old bar. God, what was the name of it? I want to call it Mickey's or something like that. Famous television network bar there.
I have no idea.
Right by the two twin towers there in Century City. But people do talk about these tunnels in Los Angeles, and I'm telling you, there are some. In fact, there's a great one underneath the Chateau Marmont to the old Roxbury.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Tell me about this tunnel. So I'm envisioning the tunnels that are in Montreal, right? The city's freezing. So under all these malls and buildings, there are these tunnels, which are more shopping malls, and they're really nice. But this tunnel that you went through today, I mean, is it well done? Are there pictures
it's
on
really
the
nice.
wall? Is there carpet on the floor? Like, tell me.
Yeah, so in front of the hotel, because the hotel went under a major renovation. This is a famous hotel. For people that haven't been in Los Angeles, this hotel has hosted, I think, pretty much every president. In fact, when the presidents do come to LA, which is a traffic jam-orama, they do tend to stay in Century City at this hotel. It went under, like, essentially a down to the studs renovation, and now it's a very nice hotel. And then underneath Avenue of the Stars is this redone tunnel that now they have along the stretch of that corridor. They have all these old photos of the building of Century City over the past
cool.
like 120 years.
Is it well lit or is it dark? And
No, it's really well lit. Like it's
like fixtures on the walls. I'm totally trying to.
Because now you have to take. Well, there used to be. In fact, I asked the hotel. I said, "Hey, is the basement tunnel entrance still there?" And they said, it is, but it has been closed to the public. And I said, well, okay,
what does that mean?
I guess you can't use that. It used to be
use it, or nobody can use it.
Well, I don't know. The Chateau Marmont tunnel to the old Roxbury, I know, has been sort of closed off too. I think it's there for VIPs or some sort of get out of the hotel without anybody noticing. But I couldn't use it today, nor could our clients. So we used the new one, which you take the escalators down, and you go under, and it's really well lit. It's got like a red carpet that goes through there. There's not a lot of people use it because I don't think a lot of people know it's there. But anyway, it was just cool.
I'm totally intrigued. Are there more of these tunnels?
There's a lot of tunnels.
I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised, and I've never heard of tunnels.
There are definitely a lot of tunnels.
I thought this was an urban myth.
There's a bunch of tunnels in downtown too.
For real?
Yeah. Huh. In fact, we what was the name of that Michael Christopher movie? There was the tunnel, the Hill Street Tunnel that we shot a scene in. I forgot the name of the. Actually, Jerry O'Connell was in that movie. I can't remember the name.
I can totally. I mean, I've never been in the tunnels downtown. I didn't even know they existed, but I could totally see like a Bruce Willis Die Hard scene being filmed there.
Well, the big thing was the tunnels in Holmby Hills, right? Because there's the tunnels where the Playboy Mansion has tunnels.
Well, we've been to the Playboy Mansion.
Yes, that's a humble brag.
I don't know.
Yeah, we went to Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit.
His 40th birthday.
Birthday. Was this? No, I think it was his 30th, maybe.
Did I just maybe
or maybe
age
it was
him?
No, because how long? I don't know.
It was
I think he's like my age, so maybe it was like his 35th or something. I don't know.
That was an interesting.
Anyway,
night.
so there's tunnels in Holmby Hills, but remember that was the big controversy around Diddy's. Wasn't it Diddy that was his house was raided by the FBI or whatever?
Yeah, it was.
And then there was all the rumors that he had tunnels that went from Playboy Mansion to Diddy's house
maybe I remember that.
Like the Spelling House or whatever it is. I don't know if all those exist, but
there are tunnels.
There are definitely tunnels. So, and then and it's not like there's weird people living in the tunnels. There are tunnels that get you from point A to point B in a VIP kind of way, especially at the Chateau Marmont.
This is walking, right? You're not taking a golf cart or anything like that.
No. Yeah. Oh, maybe some of them have golf cart abilities. I don't know. But the one from Chateau Marmont to the Roxbury were for guys like, Chris Farley or Jim Belushi or whatever. When they were staying there, they could slip into
died.
Right. Well, did both of them die? One of them died at the Chateau Marmont.
They both did die.
Anyway, God rest their soul.
They were both
great.
Both so artistic.
But you could slip into the Roxbury, party in the VIP room, etc. And then without the paparazzi knowing, you could slip back out, get back up to your penthouse and go OD.
Okay. Well, what I'm thinking is not the OD part, but when you say Roxbury, I think of Night of the Roxbury.
I know, yeah.
And then I think of the SNL sketch with the two brothers that are sitting at the bar and they bounce their heads side to side. And obviously we are we're audio, not visual, but you know what I'm talking about, that like head dance that they did, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that sort of Roxbury-ish?
I don't know, but
Or maybe it's like, no, it's not that.
wait,
I don't know
that was good.
Wait, maybe this is Little Roxbury. Oh, yeah, it's 1970s Roxbury. Shake the head, shake the head. Ow! Ow!
It has a little Dirk Diggler.
It does a little. I can see that.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, we're just getting a hodgepodge. We are getting a potluck of sounds right now.
Okay, so yeah, why don't we jump into so we're going to talk.
What's the deal?
We're going to talk potluck and we're going to talk TV, water cooler TV.
Yeah. What's the deal with potlucks?
I don't know wait a minute. Did you tell me you looked up what the term potluck even means?
I actually didn't, because I don't like potlucks.
You know what? Do me a favor. Look it up, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess what it means. A potluck dinner, a potluck party probably means, okay, everybody brings a pot. And if we're of some food,
lucky?
and if we're lucky, everybody brings some other portion of the entree and sides, right? Like not everybody shows up with stew, right? Like somebody comes with the stew, somebody comes with the beans and the corn, somebody comes with the casserole. Ew, what is a casserole, by the way? I feel like casserole, what is it? I feel like casserole is what they ate on Malcolm in the Middle or something all the time.
Wait, I'm going to tell you what a potluck is. Okay,
yes, what is a potluck?
According to my assistant, a potluck is a social gathering where each guest contributes a dish of food to be shared amongst others. The term itself is the blending of pot, referring to the main cooking vessel, and luck, referring to the luck or chance of what the person preparing the meal might have cooked. Historically, it meant serving whatever food was immediately available in the pot without specific planning. There are some characteristics of a modern potluck, which include shared contribution, variety, cost and effort reduction, community building. I don't want to go to a potluck.
I feel like COVID probably killed the potluck for a while, I would imagine. Ew, is that a COVID pot of stew? Like,
I don't know. Look, maybe potluck is like a leftover, right? You and I actually despised leftovers when we first got married. Now we kind of enjoy leftovers. So maybe as we age, we will enjoy the potluck festivities. But right now, I just don't understand it. It says it's to reduce effort, but I feel like I would probably spend so much time making a dish to make sure everybody liked it at the said gathering that I think I'd probably put more effort into the dish I was making than the dish I brought in from a restaurant.
I love when you do go to a pot. I can't remember if I guess we went to a lot of potlucks. I actually,
did.
you know what? I feel like at Wagon Wheel School, the nursery school, like we would show up to these playground parties at the school for all these nursery preschoolers. And everybody would bring something, and then somebody was like, "Oh my God, my kid made those chocolate chip cookies. You got to try them."
That's poo fingers,
right? And I'd be like, "Were you watching them make it? Were they sticking their finger up their butt while they were making the poo cookies? Or are they edible?"
You wouldn't even eat cookies that our kids made.
Yes, because I did not trust where their fingers were when they were making
Those are
the
your
darn
kids.
cookies.
They live in your house under your roof. If you won't eat that, how do you go to a potluck and eat that?
Well, I don't go to potlucks and eat that. I mean, do we go? I mean, it's not a snobby thing. It's more like I don't like to. I love when you go to a dinner and everybody's like, "Oh, why don't we get like 4 courses and we'll all share?" And I'm like, "No, sorry, I don't want to share."
No, we don't share very well.
No, we don't share. We do away from the dinner table, away from plating and pondering.
But we go out to dinner. There's a couple. We go out to dinner with Katie and Phil and Dora and John. And Katie and Dora are really good sharers. I am not a good sharer in that equation.
Well, because you eat stuff that no one else wants to eat anyway.
Well, that's not true. I think Phil wants to share with me.
I always order something that everybody wants.
You do.
I'm the guy that gets the fries too, and the fries all disappear before I get a fry.
Right, or the pizza for an appetizer. Oh, we don't need that.
Why would you get the pizza for appetizer? You don't have to have any. And then boom, like everybody.
Yeah.
The best is when I get pizza for dessert.
That's
Everybody's like, that's
weird one.
Why would you do that? Because
nobody
I
eats
like
it.
pizza. I actually like pizza better than ice cream, except at the buffet the other day.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, I wanted my money's worth, and I figured, pizza is like fills you up, but they had like
Empty
really
calories.
good, like fresh homemade ice cream.
I had the sorbet there.
You did. So what else about potlucks? I mean, I will say that I feel like it's an older generation thing because we did get invited to a couple
We got invited to one actually next weekend.
for the fireworks.
And I think maybe that's why the idea came up, because it's not something that's done regularly. We're not invited to many potlucks. Maybe we're just not invited because people don't like us. But potlucks isn't sort of a theme that comes up regularly.
Well, I think potluck actually really goes towards the boomer generation and older. It was, like you said, about community and all that stuff. And I can't remember if we talked about this on a podcast, but I think it also had to do before the invention of backyards. Because as I was reading that article, one of the destructions of the neighborhood community was the fact that developers suddenly built homes with backyards where people entertained, rather than prior to that, it was all about the front porch and the yard in the front where people gathered and congregated.
Yeah.
So when people were walking down the street on their block, they would say, "Oh, there's Jen and Chris. They're out sitting on the love seat that swings back and forth and having some
Sanka?
drinking Sanka, maybe if it was in the morning, or maybe it's like an iced sweet lemonade tea, Arnold Palmer that Jen just brought out from the refrigerator after making it fresh with lemons."
I sound so Betty Crocker homey.
Like in one of those perfect pitchers that's stirred with the ice cubes and everything.
Am I wearing an apron too?
Well, I've always pictured you in an apron. I've never really seen. I feel like I'm the only one that wears an apron when I'm washing dishes.
I didn't know where this was going to go. I was getting a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could picture you in my apron.
My dad listens.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, well, no, doing dishes in an apron. I can picture that. But it doesn't happen often. It's usually me.
I do the cooking.
Oh, what about me fixing the drawer the other day?
That was actually really impressive. So Chris does try and do these like Mr. Fix-It things. It actually deserves an applause.
That almost sounds like I'm in the background of that
Well,
applause.
it's loud. I came home a little late from work, so I was a little frazzled because I wanted to get dinner up for the two of us. And again, because it's just the two of us, because we're empty nesters, it definitely has a little bit of a laid back approach, right? I don't have to get dinner on the table before the kids go to their practice or their tutors or whatever it is. So get home, I start prepping, chopping vegetables. I was making a soup. And you decided to take over 3/4 of the island, which I was using to cook, to fix the drawer that was broken. And I was definitely frustrated at first. And you brought out all of your tools. You were very excited to use said tools, some of them you've never used before. And there were little pieces of wood, shavings that were all over the place because I think you were drilling. And I definitely had my doubts. But you succeeded. I was so proud of you.
Not only that, it was better. It works better than it ever has.
Actually, it really does. You should get that applause.
Yes.
And you didn't even need YouTube for instructions. You did it all on your own.
Shout out to Chris Fenton, Handyman of the Week. So, anyway.
Right? There was no, you just did it all from your head. You used your engineering background. You used your hands.
Yeah,
you
it was
used your
YouTube
tools.
free.
It was really impressive.
So, another thing, before we get to water cooler, and maybe we bring it up next, this could be a topic for the next episode, but jury duty. I had jury duty. I couldn't get out of it. It was actually a week where I had clients in from out of country
I know,
too.
you just said from Japan.
And also Canada.
That's true.
So
you're so worldly.
Yeah, very global. I'm very global. Very Cosmo.
Ooh.
But yeah, this was not the week to have jury duty, and
Which is
I
obviously the
debated
reason.
whether trying to come up with an excuse to push it, and I just couldn't. They wouldn't allow it. I said I was pregnant. That didn't work. And which it should work in California. Like, can I get pregnant here in this state? But anyway, I was thinking I might get through the week without getting called in, but no, I got called in on the one day that I really did not want to get called in. And I went, and they immediately said, you have to go up to this room upstairs because
Was
they
that
started
where they were doing voir dire?
Yeah. What does voir dire mean?
Dire, it's the jury selection. So that's
Right.
when both sides, both attorneys, basically interview potential jurors and ask questions to determine if you are in fact a fit for their trial.
Well, the night court bailiff, what was his name? Bull came out.
Was that the really
big, tall,
bald
I think
guy?
He passed away. R.I.P.
Oh, that's so sad. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he came out to say, this is going longer than we expected. Would you please wait here? And I was like, great, this is cool. Thank you for, taking a lot of time out of my life. But it was me and a bunch of other people, and we all were not super excited about this. And then he came out again 30 minutes later, said, sorry, it's delayed. And then another 30 minutes later, sorry, it's delayed. And another 30 minutes later, and sorry, it's delayed. There was one woman that had to milk herself, or, so.
Wait, Chris, she had to pump? She was
Yes.
a new mother? Did you
Yes.
just say milk herself?
Pump.
Nurse.
What? Yeah, nurse herself.
Well, no, you don't nurse yourself, but
Well, whatever you do when you pump the stuff.
you just said milk yourself.
Well, she asked if she could milk somewhere.
No, I don't
I
think
think.
she's. Really, is that how she said?
I
"Hey,
forgot
can
what
I
she
milk
said, but the
myself?"
bottom line is she was like ready to pull out a part of her anatomy in front of all of us, and the guy's like, "Look, if you need to go, you can go down
to
there."
a lactation room is what it's
Yeah,
called.
it was not a courthouse that had a lactation room. Trust me.
Well, I think they all have to.
Oh, it did not have a lactation
So what? She had to go to
room.
the bathroom?
No, they had a big flood that flooded out like a
Oh,
lot
God,
of the
did it
stuff
smell like
there.
poo-poo?
So no, it was, I don't know when it happened, but this was a decrepit courthouse. It was a little sad. Put it this way, if I were getting put away for life in that
wouldn't wanna
courthouse,
go
that
there.
would have been extra depressing. But anyway, so he let her go, and then like 30 minutes later, he comes out and he's like, guys, I have a lot of bad news here. And we're all going, oh, geez, we got to come back tomorrow. This stinks. He goes, you guys are all off. The case was dismissed. And I was sitting there going, awesome. Now, I will say, I'm going to admit that the guy did say downstairs, he's like, and if they don't use you in that jury, come on down because
What
I might
time was
assign you
this?
to another one. It was like at 4:00, and I think 5 is when the
So
courthouse
I
closes.
bet I know what you did.
So I got a little lost in the building.
Did you get lost, as in the quotational air quotation lost?
Yes, I got lost I couldn't remember what floor he was on, so I had to like walk around the different floors looking for it, and eventually I got down there at about 4:45, and I was like,
Wow,
oh,
you
he's
really
like,
got
wait,
lost."
where were you? And I said, I came down, and he's like, well, it's late, and here's your dismissal. I was like,
Thank
yes,
goodness.
Yes.
I'm glad you found your way out of that courthouse too.
And for the record, everybody listening, I have done my jury duty on a 3-week trial,
Murder trial.
attempted murder trial, when my wife was about to give birth to
me,
twins.
this wife.
Yes, you, Jen, the only wife I've had, the only twins I've had.
There you go.
Wait,
That we know
are they
of.
the only twins I've had? Yes, I know you've had twins, but I have not.
I
other
did
than
birth. I
these.
did birth these twins. Yes.
Prom.
Chris
The-
Fenton.
So I'm just thinking
I
about
hope nobody called that.
inside joke. Okay, so let's talk about water cooler. Okay, can I just say one thing about this country is that we are divided. Okay, and one of the best ways to end a divide, at least temporarily, was the water cooler. In fact, actually, I really never worked a job where there was a water cooler. I guess I did. William Morris back in the day. I don't remember ever anybody going, oh, that guy's MAGA, or that guy's, liberal, or that guy's a Democrat, or that guy's a Republican, or, that girl is super like progressive or what. I don't remember any of that in our.
There were some, and if you look at the list.
But in our early days at William Morris, do you remember that?
No, not that.
No.
I mean, if you look at the 80s, let's just start with the 80s.
No, but let's just talk about our own. Like, I don't know where all this political crap came from, but I do remember we would gather maybe as assistants, the staff meeting would empty and all the bagels and cream cheese were in there, and all the assistants would run in there and grab them up, and because it was free food.
Yeah.
And then we'd talk about whatever, and it was always like, oh, did anybody see Miami Vice last night? Or did anybody see,
I wasn't there at that
Seinfeld or Cheers or whatever it was. And we would talk about like these shows that didn't care about political affiliation or what state you lived in or where you were from. Like, they appealed to everybody.
Well, sure. So you had shows like Seinfeld, Friends, Frasier, Home Improvement that were just really, I'm going to use the word generic, but they were just fun, lighthearted. You could sit down with the whole family. Maybe they had a theme woven into the episode, but it wasn't, who you voted for. Do you believe in abortion? Are you pro LGBTQ plus? I mean, there were none of those issues that were ever touched upon. I mean, maybe 90210 and like Melrose Place, maybe that was the most progressive, maybe Dawson's Creek. But if you think about earlier shows, like, and I'm talking about.
But by the way, also think about like the race thing was not an issue.
No,
like,
that wasn't
you had
an issue.
Cosby Show, you had Different World, you had. What was the one where they sat on the stoop, like 223 or something like that? 227. You had Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You had Different Strokes. You had, even going way back, you had like Good Times and all that stuff. But like, no one, it wasn't all like weirdly divided. Like, it was nice. Like, you could, and maybe if I watch those shows. I mean, the Brady Bunch, could you watch that and go, oh, I can't believe they would have a plot like that or something?
No, because there was never a plot like that.
I mean, Archie Bunker, I get it. Like, that pushed the envelope in ways that is probably inappropriate today in a lot of ways. But
these water cooler shows were just so, and I'm saying vanilla, not in a bad way, but they just didn't ruffle feathers.
They didn't.
And I think.
By the way, even my favorite drama, like,
what was your favorite drama?
Miami Vice. I mean, that was the coolest black like lead actor ever, Philip Michael Thomas, and the coolest white dude ever, Don Johnson. And they had the coolest lieutenant. What was that guy's name? Not Lou Diamond Phillips. He played Castillo. Joseph Edward James Olmos.
Oh,
holy cow! Like,
just
talk
pulled
about
that
a
out.
crazy. And then they had like guest stars like Nick Cage and Chris Penn and Glenn Fry, and like, it was crazy. Like, they had it was I don't know. Anyway,
but you
is
can't
it nostalgia that I just want that stuff back?
Well,
Because
no,
no
it's
one
not.
cared. We just watched.
So let's back up and let's sort of unpack this and dissect it. I think when you had the water cooler shows, really, there was a fundamental shift in how people watch TV. So back then, and we've talked about this when we talk about cable, you really did have your three major networks, right? You had your ABC, NBC, and your CBS. That was your predominant viewing platforms. You didn't have the Netflix. You didn't have the YouTubes, the Apple Plus, the Paramount Plus, the Hulus, continue the conversation, right? There's 1,000 of these different little squares that we see when we turn on our TV, right? So you just had three. So automatically, I think your viewing choices were much limited, right? There was also less programming. You had your news, right? I feel like I came home from school and between like 3 and 7 o'clock, it was the news. Right?
Yeah.
And then maybe 7 to 8 o'clock, it was your Jeopardies and your Wheel of Fortunes, those type game shows. And that's when you went into your prime time, which is when these water cooler shows actually aired.
Yeah, they called it Fringe. So Fringe was the 7 to 8. It was Fringe of prime time. So that was usually relegated to magazine shows like Entertainment Tonight,
Access Hollywood.
Access
Yeah.
Hollywood,
I know what you're
and
saying.
then or you had the game shows. You had Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune going into prime time.
Right.
Then 8 o'clock hour was typically sitcoms because you couldn't. At 8 to 9, it had a different sort of rating system.
Well, because somebody like me as a child might be watching versus somebody like you as a teenager.
And then 9 would have the more sophisticated.
Racy.
So if you think about Thursday night, it was Cosby Show, Family Ties, then Cheers, and then Night Court. And each one of those shows got a little more
racier?
risque. Yeah. And then after that, you went to LA Law. Right.
I loved LA Law. I can still hear the theme song in my head. And there's a certain moment in like the first chord where the trunk slams down and you see the LA Law license plate. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Corbin Burnson, right?
I also remember
Blair
my
Underwood.
favorite commercial jingle was Gillette.
I don't
The
remember.
best the man can get.
Okay, that's another thing. Commercials. We don't
But it
even
went
watch
like
commercials.
this. You're looking smooth. You're looking sharp. You've gone so far. You know how to make the most of who you are. Where the race is run, you're the champion. Gillette, the best a man can get. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, God, it was such a good song. But you had the Old Spice commercials.
No.
Irish Spring.
Maybe.
Did you
Mentos?
Ooh, Fresh Maker.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway,
But, okay,
so go on. Talk about these.
No, it's so interesting because it was kind of deemed this classic broadcasting era. And I think as a advertiser, somebody who worked in the industry, you could really capitalize on how many viewers you had because there was something called Nielsen ratings. I actually think my family did a Nielsen rating poll.
Did they really?
I think we did.
You had a box or whatever it was?
Yeah, and you had to record and mark down and keep track of everything that you watched. But you could actually do that now on the Netflix platforms and such. How do you even monitor viewers? Is it by downloads? Because you don't have a concentrated, like everybody Thursday night on, at 9 p.m. is watching set show. How do you account for that?
Well, there's not appointment television really anymore.
Which then goes to the water
the
cooler
streamers,
conversation.
yeah. Which, by the way, so it changes when people are watching it. So, White Lotus or some of these HBO shows, or even Landman and stuff,
they come out.
They
once
come
a
out
week.
a certain time, and then the next day, if people are watching it, they talk about it.
I actually
but
do
those
like
are
that.
shows. I feel like White Lotus is a very coastal show. I don't think anybody I know in Nashville or in Dallas, Texas, or
Do you
something
think the people
like
in Amsterdam that listen to us have seen it?
No, I don't know if it's big in Europe or not. I have no idea. But Landman probably has a good Nashville audience, but it might not have anybody in New York City that cares about it. I don't know.
No, but what's interesting about the two examples that you're bringing up right now is it's a little bit of scheduled TV.
Yeah, no.
right? Because
appointment television.
Television. Unlike Netflix that releases an entire season at once, and you can sit there on a Saturday morning to Saturday night just binging episode after episode. This is Sunday. Like, we know Sunday we're going to be watching the next episode of Landman, and we kind of plan our night around that, almost like the old times.
Actually, Bravo has done a pretty good job of it with like Housewives and
Or is it
Vanderpump
just how
and
we've
stuff.
recorded
By the way,
it?
this new Vanderpump cast.
Yeah, I
what
do
the-
not like it.
No, yeah, that's a.
It's a B
I'm
cast.
I gotta do this for that.
100%. I miss Jax. I miss the Tom Toms. Ariana come back.
I feel like the
don't like
cast
it.
is trying too hard to like make their impact fast.
Yeah, I don't
it's
like it.
just whatever. Anyway, but a shout out to Vanderpump in general,
Oh,
because
she's created a crazy empire.
She's made some fun stuff. But the appointment television of, say, Stranger Things, which is not really appointment television because they drop four episodes all at once.
Over
but
a
it was
holiday
such
weekend.
an event thing that everybody was
Yeah.
like, boy, I better watch it before
Yeah.
everybody tells me what happens.
Totally. Here's my question. So you've worked at William Morris. That's actually where we met. You worked in motion picture, but prior to motion picture, you worked in television. Is there a
You might have seen me on television.
Did I?
I've been on television a few times.
Have you?
Yes.
Do you have an IMDb page?
You know what's so funny? This is not a humble brag, but I guess
Sort of
it
feels
is.
like it might be going there.
You know, I've done a lot of spots on the Bloombergs and stuff like that. The only IMDb things that I think that get picked up there officially are my Tucker Carlson
That's an interesting
interviews.
That's an interesting thing.
So
Okay, so let's go back. Let's backtrack a little bit. You worked in TV. What is this format that sells? I know in movies, I didn't really work in the industry longer than 1 year as an assistant, so I'm really naive to this. But you always talk about this 3-act structure. Do TV shows, the water cooler shows, or even the White Lotuses, do they follow that same kind of formula format?
I think the 3-act structure, and by the way, I never really studied storytelling in the most theoretical sense in
like
college
some kids
or
go
whatever.
to
I was an engineering grad,
right.
so I really don't know. I mean, I've read a fair share of books, and I've written a decent amount. I might have written more than I've read.
Was that another humble brag?
I don't know. That might be saying like, hey, I'm smarter than I look, or I'm dumber than I look. I don't know which is better. But the 3-act structure to me is probably applicable to any length programming if you just think of it over the course of the whole run. Now, episodic procedural TV, which is something where every episode, like a CSI, starts
like a
with
Law and Order.
Yeah,
Okay.
starts with a certain cast, and there's a certain thing that happens, and they got to solve it, and it follows the same formula. That's not serialized, where like a lot of the shows we like are serialized. Like if you missed episode 2 of season 3 in White Lotus, and you skip straight to episode 10. You're not going to know what's going on.
No, you've missed
Whereas
some major
in
points.
CSI, it doesn't matter if you see episode 1 or episode 10. It's all
Right.
the same. So
Friends was kind of like that, right? It didn't matter
Correct.
if you saw episode 7 or
they're super valuable, very valuable.
okay, then that's the next question. Is the intellectual property of any of the TV shows that are out there now as valuable as something like a Friends, a Cheers? I mean, I'm going to say Love Boat, but I know Love Boat probably isn't valuable. But okay, I'll just put it in the mix.
The most valuable are the ones where you could just tune in to Friends. It
Seinfeld,
doesn't matter.
I'm guessing, is another one.
Seinfeld. Anything that's not serialized is very valuable.
A network like TV Land, right? Does that do exceptionally well for older people who kind of go down that nostalgia path, who don't want the Fox News is on or the CNNs or whatever news station that they subscribe to? They don't want that on constantly. Like I feel like my mom would always have some sort of old TV show on in the background, kind of like white noise. It
Right.
could have been the Golden Girls. It could have been.
I love the Golden
I know.
Girls.
Weren't we just watching a show
They're
on the
so
making of
good.
the Golden Girls?
By the
and
way,
how
I'm just
they-
looking at my IMDb page,
Oh,
and
yeah?
it's this German documentary I did, China versus Hollywood, Hollywood Takeover, which was that other documentary
Was that the
I
one
did.
on the beach?
Yeah, on the beach.
You
where
looked
I'm
very handsome.
very deep in thought
Yes.
in that. There's another one called Middle Earth. I don't remember doing that one. And then 2 episodes of Tucker Carlson. And apparently I got a 4 out of 5 or 4.5 for my appearances on those, which sounds good on a scale of 5, but I think they're a scale of 10.
Oh,
So
that's no bueno.
that's a wah, wah, wah.
Weren't you also on Rate My Zoom or Rate My Room or what was that thing during
Oh
COVID?
my God, remember that? Oh, well, I will say that we've gone 39 minutes.
Oh my God, talking about not.
That's our audience censoring us, going, hey, you know what? You're about to hit the 40-minute. Yes, the 40-minute mark.
All right, well, this was fun. This was a nice way to
God,
unwind
it
from
was
the
so
week
good.
and from work. And we're going to get our Christmas tree this weekend, so we can talk about that.
Yes. Dwayne and the new high can go.
I think you have sung more in this episode than you have in any others.
Well, I feel like everybody needs to listen to this song while they review, they download,
Yes.
they follow,
Well done. Well played.
and they engage in these really fun episodes that we're putting together. I will say we're up to 20 countries now.
Really?
But we still have not penetrated the Oceania part of the world.
You keep working on that one.
I'm going to reach out to a couple Aussies that I know and say, hey, you got to download. All right.
To that, we say goodnight.
Love you guys. Thank you for listening. Newbie!